Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to Curmudgeon's Corner 36. Goodness gracious, 36. Hi, welcome. Daryl, I mean, we've already said hello to pretty much everybody so far, but I do, I want to get a couple of things out of the gate. First and foremost, Eileen reached out to me yesterday. She has a family issue that she has to handle, and with much regret, she will be unable to co-host tonight. So it's just going to be me, but good thing I brought along fan favorite Brian Spitler from Apex and his, I'm not going to say sidekick because it's more like a Batman / Nightwing kind of scenario, not so much a Robin, because I think Mayall, he brings the heat when he needs to. So bottom line is I think we're going to be in good company tonight. Tonight is a special episode where it's going to be all about you. I apologize to everybody and anybody that's going to be listening to this on a podcast. Like on a streaming service like Spotify or something like that. But it's going to be definitely all about you guys, a Q&A. They have set up in their shop some test panels so that you guys can basically be I wanted it to kind of be an extension of his master class that he did last week. Now, obviously, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be as in-depth as it would be, but it's kind of a taste of what you guys missed out on and that you should be looking forward to doing it the next time he does one of his classes. It's absolutely invaluable. I think I've sat in on 5, maybe 7, something like that. I've sat in on a lot of his master classes, and I still learn something every single time. He is truly, ironically, the Yoda of detailing. And I say ironically because he says, I don't believe him, being a child of the 80s like me, he says he's never watched the trilogy. So anyway, we're going to get started here real quick. But before we do that, I just wanted to say something. It's been on my heart a lot these last couple of days, last couple of weeks even. Everybody that's here and watching, it's a Saturday night. It's 8 o'clock on the East Coast, 5 o'clock on the West Coast, and all the time zones in between. You guys could be anywhere. You choose to hang out with me and Eileen and hang out with us. And it has really, truly become a family, a Phoenix family. And I get DMs throughout the week. I get emails throughout the week. I get phone calls throughout the week of people just reaching out. They're appreciative of how we share, of how we talk about things, about how basically there's nothing really taboo when you come into the Curmudgeon's Corner. It's a safe place, and we all just kind of hang out like a family. And sometimes we bicker and fight like family. I'm looking at you, Texas DD. And then sometimes we just, hey, I'm checking in just to make sure that you're still in a good headspace, and just looking in after each other like family should do. So not to get overly sappy right out of the gate, but I just wanted to say thank you for making this community really be what this community is. The Pay It Forward campaign is exploding. People are sending in stuff. Like I don't even know if we're going to have enough nominations to give out as much. I mean, Humberto is single-handedly funding the Pay It Forward campaign this year. So really, just I so appreciate you guys. I haven't said hello to Detail Doug, Nacho Man, Neil White. Neil White brings the humor that I love when you're in the chats, Neil, because you get me rolling. You get me rolling, man. But anyway, without further ado, let's get the Apex team in here. These guys are absolutely fire. You know them. You love them. Brian is the inspiration behind, well, I mean, maybe not the inspiration, but he definitely was the motivator to get Phoenix up off the ground. So he will always have my absolute love and respect, and I cherish him as a brother. Because without him, I would never have even remotely considered doing something so insane as starting my own chemical company. So without further ado, let's get Apex in here and get this party started. Boom.
Good evening.
Hey, gentlemen.
I'm Brian. This is Brian. We have the shop manager to the right, sleeping already.
Shop manager. I heard her earlier, so
we are ready to roll. This show is for you guys. You are the producers, you're the directors, and we are just going with the flow tonight.
All right. So, so basically the idea was, as I already explained, that this is kind of an extension of your master class. Everybody and anybody in the chats right now, and again, apologizing to anybody that's listening to podcasts that missed the live show. Obviously, you're not going to be able to contribute to the conversation, but we are going to do a Q&A for the two masters in the house, and then we're going to be doing live demos. And since you had your unfortunate accident about 4 weeks ago, Brian Mayall, affectionately known as Flock of Seagulls, because he's got that amazing hair that everyone is jealous of, is going to be doing the demos to make sure that your hand stays on the mend and you're not doing something dangerous like vibrating it back into breaking. So, with that being said, who wants to get the party started? Who wants to get the ball rolling? Is there anybody out there in YouTube world or Facebook land that has a question for either of the Bryans and or would like to see how you do something? Tell the truth. What you do, Aaron, to Brian? Tell the truth. What you do, Aaron, to Brian? I don't know. Hey, Brian, there's a question. Kimberly would like to know how your recovery is coming.
Very well. About three weeks or so, and this thing comes off. And then we go into a supported splint, and then I do a little bit of rehab to strengthen the wrist because the break was right at the joint, and then I'm back at it.
Now, have you told your audience how it happened?
I believe I did in the video. Somebody veered into my lane and hit me head on. Destroyed the vehicle. It was the gray AMG that was always in the background, so that one's gone.
And that was brand new. So
I only had it. I didn't even have. I had to wait for the title to hand it in the insurance company. So I only had it out a couple times.
That's wild. Special shout out to Kimberly MC. Apparently it's her birthday, so happy birthday, Kimberly. She's been a great supporter of the Phoenix line, and she's been a great supporter of the Pay It Forward campaign. She donated a sizable amount of money, and we are still trying to figure out how to process all of that. But happy birthday, Kimberly. All right, let's see what else. There was another question that I started. All right, Neil White would like to know, Brian, can you tell us about the ups and downs of starting your own detailing products? That's a loaded question.
Yes, the downs, stress, just because you're always worried and self-conscious, and I personally was confident going into the adventure that I had something that I could really be proud of, but you're always a little self-conscious. Negativity is going to be coming your way no matter what. It's just the way things are, and it's how you handle them. But the pros, the detailing products and how they perform for us here at the shop for our customers, just valuable, very valuable. Many things to do.
Basically, I'd like to ask you, the same question that obviously I'm in the same boat as you as far as developing products and things of that nature. When you see so many startups popping up everywhere. I know there was a big announcement this past week, blah, 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 starting his own product line and so on and so forth. Like, how do you remain true to yourself? I had a really interesting conversation with Hawaii Tim earlier today about this very thing, and how does that how does a name like that impact your business? And quite frankly, for me, being as small as I am, you're obviously 100,000 times bigger than me. But being as small as I am, having my fingers in the creation of the products, having my formulas and being able to tweak them the way that I can tweak them, I might not be as big as some of the other players out there, but like when my products are being mentioned in the same conversation as those giants that have been out there for 100 years, Adams, Angel Wax, Turtle Wax, those big juggernauts, and my products are being mentioned with those. Like, I think I'm doing something right. I think that I'm doing something that a lot of these startups are just white labels, and it's the same thing over and over and over again. Different color, different scent, but it's the same behind the scenes manufacturer making it for all of these other people. So my response to Hawaii Tim was, that doesn't really impact me, because we're not the same. If I was selling the same product as that person with under a different white label, then you have an argument. But because we're not the same, it doesn't impact me. Over.
Yeah, it doesn't. It hasn't impacted me either, and I'm very supportive of it. I'm all for it, and I hope everybody does well that steps into the venture. So I wish them the best. And really, who benefits from that? That's everybody else out there that has more choices. So I'm all for that. It doesn't change a thing for me. It hasn't since the beginning, and it won't going forward. I would still review other products. And I have pans here, and I have other new products that are coming out, and I have no problem whatsoever sharing my honest experience and opinion with them, good or bad, and I wish them the best. I'm very confident with what my products can do. They speak for themselves, so I really don't have to do much more.
Right. So we have a question. Where was it? Right here. Oh, yes. All right. So Apex BC3 as a standalone product, how long can we expect it to last in winter conditions in the north?
You're looking at about 2 to 3 months. That product originally was formulated to be the sacrificial layer to our coatings as they head out into the December, January, and February weather of Pennsylvania and the Northeast, but you can also use that as a standalone detailer, drying aid, cut it 1-to-1, use it for interiors. Very versatile, but on its own, you're looking at about 2 to 3 months.
I got to be honest. This is the very first. This is the very first Northeast winter that I've actually looked forward to since we developed the Hydra V3. I don't know if you saw, but I went down to Ocean City, New Jersey, and I got 4 gallons of Atlantic Ocean water, brought it back, and sprayed down this panel and let it bake out in the sun and turn all white, salty, and crusty. And then I did it again, and then I did it again, and then I did it again. And then I used the Hydra on it, and it just melted that salt away. So I'm actually excited about the winter coming. I want to be able to see what it can do against, the nonsense that they spray on the roads. Every time I go out to see my parents for Thanksgiving, my vehicle comes back looking, surrounded in this dirty, gray, salty crust. And I want to see what Hydra can do against that.
And just to add, Sean, if you're looking for something like BC3 but on steroids, BC9, that's exactly what we have with BC9.
Speaking of BC9, didn't you tell me that you got like a sale going on or something?
Well, for the next couple of days, 4 or 5 days, BC8 and BC9 will be on sale 25% off. And if you want, I can demonstrate them both because I'm still getting The reason is I'm still getting a ton of questions on them both, and because I'm not out there on social media until I heal up, there are some questions unanswered. So I can demo them tonight if you want and go into greater detail with them, but I want more people to get them in their hands. I think you would love them if you start to use them.
Yeah, Kimberly, I exactly like the new Hydra V3. It was designed with Old Man Winter in mind. I'm really excited about it. Yeah. So I don't know if have we gotten any questions about a Q&A? Like, are you good? Is there anything that you guys want to see demonstrated? Shine Your Light is in the house. Good to see you, Titan Tim. Good to see you. Yeah, I don't know. What maybe you want to. So, how about we start from the basics and we go through. When I showed up at your shop last Saturday morning, 9 a.m. You spent about I don't know, maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours talking about the business plan and the marketing and what you need to do to kind of separate yourself from the herd when it comes to being an everyday detailer, starting your own business, that kind of stuff. Absolutely fascinating. I just think that it wasn't all about just detailing. There was actual a method to what your master class was, and you laid the foundation. I thought you've given obviously a lot of demonstrate a godlike.
We can quick go over that. I can give you a very condensed version of that, and sort of give a little taste of what I was explaining to them, and you can definitely implement that in your business. But the basics, how to get started before you detail that first car. There are a couple steps you really want to take care of first. Obviously, your insurance, your EIN number and tax number, and register your business. Bring that right here. We will be moving things around off and on tonight, so please forgive us. Magic marker. So again, the very first thing you want to do is register your business. Get your insurance lined up. Be legitimate. You're going to be writing because I can't write for shit with this thing, and I'm a left hand. All right, so you want to think of this as a wheel, and the hub of your wheel right here is going to be starting a Google business page, and put some time into that, make it look neat, give it a lot of information, give it the correct information so Google can pinpoint customers to you that are booping in there that they want to find a detailer near them or somebody that can coat near them or PPF near them. So Google business page with everything correct. Then at the same time, you can draw a line here and put your business page, your web page for the business. I am not huge into SEO. I tried to do my own a couple times. The very first time was with Wix, and it wasn't clean. It wasn't organized. And Google sometimes has a really hard time with pointing people your way if you have a sloppy website. I realized that, and I knew I could do a lot better, so I paid somebody who was really up to building a clean website. Yes, it is pricey. But to me, I found out that it's worth having somebody who knows what they're doing, get it together for you. They did a great job. If you visit my site now, you'll see it's very simple. It's very clean. The Google algorithm can read it quickly and interpret it and point people in its direction. So these two things here, after your legal and after your insurance is up and running, are the next two things that I have our students do. And if you want to draw the wheel, tire, that would wobble like crazy if you put that in motion, but let's go with it. So this is going to be the hub of the wheel, and we're going to have some spokes coming out. On the outside are going to be social media platforms that can feed all of, excuse you, she's full. that are going to feed the hub. In other words, all of these out here are going to be social media sites that you're going to have links that go back and forth, and they're all going to feed each other, if you catch where I'm going here. The next thing you want to do is you want to start a YouTube channel. And this isn't going to be for views. It's not going to be for subscribers. This is going to be for a tool. A tool that when customers come in, and instead of you spending an hour, 2 hours explaining all of your services and everything you do, you can send them the link while they're in your office to your YouTube channel. They can sit down in your nice, comfortable viewing and waiting area, and they can see what you do. They can see how you go above and beyond, and you can either stand there with them, or you can get back to work a little bit, check in on them, and you can then sell the value of your services. You can speak to a customer for an hour or two. The information goes in one ear, out the other. But when they have a visual, my friends, it sears into their brain. And they will remember that if they walk out your door for a long period of time. And if they don't book a date with you for services that day, they'll be back eventually. So YouTube is the very next thing that I would get going for those of you just starting out. Or if you've been in business for a while and you don't have a channel started, utilize it, and it is a fantastic tool. And then, of course, your Facebook, Instagram, X, or Twitter, or whatever the hell it's called. I don't.
TikTok?
No, hell no, no TikTok for me. But it is a great platform. It's just not for me. It's another great way to get short form videos out for your customers. YouTube and Facebook will also accept short term, and now Facebook is getting into the long form video platform as well. So you can show your work in both a long form and get into great detail, or you can cut it down to 2 minutes or shorter and get to the gist and show your customers what you can do. So these things all have links in their descriptions to feed each other. YouTube to your business page and web page, and they all link to Facebook and Instagram, so you can kind of get the idea of what we're talking about with the wheel of business. Make sense? Any questions?
That's exactly. There's a lot of conversation that's happening as you were talking, and we'll get to that in a minute. It's funny because it seems to be following the exact same course of your master class. So like you started talking about all of this, and then from there you went over to the test panels and some of the questions.
This is just the tip of the iceberg, just the basics. The rest of the morning we spent on sales and marketing and communication with the customer. And I could spend a whole weekend talking about just that. You could really go down the rabbit hole, the psychology of connecting with somebody that walks in your door, and what it takes to somebody that is pulling into your parking lot and walking in your door. If you don't have them booked with 35% down and they walk out the door, I consider it personally a failure. Because if they're getting in their vehicle and they're going to your port of business, your spot of business, and you don't have them booked and they walk out the door, to me, that's a failure. So yeah, we cover all of that and how to communicate and connect with the customer as well.
Yeah, Kimberly, it was when I used to go out to SEMA every year. You could attend all of these different seminars, and you can pick your schedule. Basically, it would be from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Half-hour seminars that you could go and sit in on. And when I used to focus a lot on social media, and one of the seminars that we got to go to was was hosted by the vice president of Instagram, and she was absolutely amazing. And what was funny is, she had said the number one searched item is how to. It's how to. Like if you go to YouTube, if you go to any of the other social media platforms, the number one search thing is how to do something. And, and I say, as far as, YouTube being a great resource, 100%, because all day long, it's like, well, how do I do this? If I don't know something, my very first thing to YouTube and start typing, how do I do this? Or how to do that? And sure enough, somebody out there has done that very same thing. How to change an air filter, 1966 Chevy Impala, that kind of stuff. It's been done. So I agree with you 100%. For the sake of paint, maybe. Yeah, I think again, customer service is exactly what it is. I think it's paramount to any business, especially in such an oversaturated field such as ours, where there's a gazillion detailers out there. There's a gazillion chemical companies out there. I think the what separates us is always been customer service and almost taking it personally, the relationships that you form with your customers. The Curmudgeon's Corner is a result of that, of wanting to be a part of that community, of being able to have conversations and talk. So I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. So I don't know. Are you up to moving into the next segment?
Sure.
Okay.
Again, they are the director wherever they want to go. We can move to the panels, and I can show the type of heat that a polisher, especially a dual action polisher, will spike on a panel, and then we can follow up with the rotary to show is that going to run hotter, is it going to run cooler than a dual action polisher. We could do anything. We could do scratches on the panel, how to remove scratches.
Okay, well, a lot of the conversation revolves around something that I know that you touched in on a lot during your masterclass, and that was, how about the difference in technique on a one-step correction versus a paint enhancement? It seems to be a common question that people often get confused with.
Oh, that's great, because that is pretty much the next thing we jump to in the weekend seminar. So if you want to keep with that, give us a couple seconds and we will move things around and get set up for that, and I'll go over it.
Ask Brian if coding is his standard, or is it because the customer asks for it?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Try that again.
Ask Brian if coding is his standard, or is it because the customer asks for it?
If the coding is his standard, not really.
I guess basically, like when a customer comes in and they want, I would like you to detail my car. Is a ceramic coating like automatically in your head of this is what I'm going to provide for you? Or
for me, because again, you have to put your sales hat on every time somebody comes into the building. For me, it's going to be our top tier service. And for us, that's PPF. So I'm always going to be trying to get them into a package for paint protection film. That's the highest seller and the high money packages. And if not, we fall back on coatings, and if not, sealants and paint correction. But yeah, when somebody walks in, and especially in our area where they don't know the terminology, they don't know much about detailing, we have customers that come in and ask for a wash and wax, and they may mean a coating or PPF. It's my job to teach them, communicate, and dig that out of them, and then get them on the calendar. But yeah, great question.
Yeah, well, so while he's setting up for that, Neil White asks, Brian, can you talk about building relationships with clients, and has that helped with repeat business?
Yes. Really, the building a relationship with the client, there's really only one thing you have to do. Let me know when you're that one. We'll slide everything over there. There's the number one thing you want to do is give them the absolute best service that you can, and they will appreciate that more than anything you could ever tell them. or share with them, backing their car out and they're walking around it with a smile from ear to ear, you got them from then on out. That is a relationship that is cut in stone. All you have to do is make them smile, make them happy. That's better than anything you can say or communicate with them.
That's a fun sound.
Pick that. Pick the other end of that up.
Enthusiast is in the house, y'all. Boop, boop, boop. All right, let's see here. What else? We covered that. We covered that. Brian, what keeps you passionate about detailing day in and day out? How do you avoid the burnout? How do you avoid the just kind of getting sucked into the daily grind? You said that you and your crew just came are on a 2-week streak of being in the shop every single day. I know since you did the warehouse or the workshop last weekend, I know that you didn't even take Sunday off. So I mean, you literally put in 2 solid weeks of the grind. How do you stay positive? How do you stay motivated? How do you
Well, it's a very easy, quick answer. It's what we're doing here. The connection that I have with you guys and the connection I have with the customers. To me, I enjoy that so much. I wake up in the morning with butterflies in my stomach every day just for that chance, even at my advanced age. Okay, so we have your polisher. Right?
Oh, I get Humberto actually clarified his question. It was if it's a standard on coatings under the hood and door jambs and trunk, or if it's requested by the customer. Like when you're doing,
if we crack open a bottle of our coating and do a coating package, it's going to be absolutely every square inch that is painted, every hard surface on that vehicle. We pop the trunk, we pop the hood, we open the doors, we do.
I know I've seen you guys take the badges off and the emblems off, and I've seen you guys coat underneath that stuff. So
taking the badges off, they're easy. It's just double-sided tape, maybe a clip or two, maybe a 9/32 or a 10mm nut or bolt. That's no big deal. You get a clean correction and a clean install or from PPF or coating. So yeah, we do that as part of the package, and we know that takes a little bit of time. So we have the price adjusted for that. Another thing I just want to sneak in there, when it comes to coatings and PPF, our packages have a warranty that is somewhat covered by the manufacturer, and then we have our own warranty on top of that where we cover different things. But we also include a maintenance program for every customer that gets a coating or PPF. And if you offer one, you can either charge for it. I know there's some detailers near our area that will charge up to $350 for a maintenance visit. And we actually include that in our packages. And we just bump up the price of the package a little bit to cover that. I do have an employee that I hire just for maintenance visits. And we do them Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Why, you might ask? We do not want to discourage our customers from missing or skipping a maintenance visit for obvious reasons. You want to keep everything in tip-top shape, but it gives me and my crew a chance to keep up on how the coating or the PPF is holding up in the environment that we are in, and the environment that we know that particular customer is introducing that car to. So just something I wanted to share with you. You can handle that any way you want to. That's how we handle it.
All right. And when you're, what are you? Oh yeah. So while you're doing this demo, Smokey wants to know if you would be willing to show the difference in which pad runs cooler, like you demonstrated during class last week. Smokey was one of the gentlemen that attended your class.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we have everything right here. Would be a great place to do it. What we're going to do first is we're going to run a dual action polisher with a foam pad, and we'll use the pop cut, and we'll go back and forth maybe once or twice, and then I'm going to get the meter over here, and we'll show you the heat that a foam pad and a dual action polisher will spike in the certain area that you're going back and forth. And what I want you to keep in mind is that the surrounding area, the ambient temperature is going to be room temperature. It's probably 68 here, 70, somewhere around there. You might not be able to see it, but our meter will show that. It shows the hottest. There's going to be a red block for the hottest area in the picture, and there's going to be a blue block for the coolest area. So the sort of the retort that I get when I talk about heat spikes, guys, is, well, a car's out in the sun and it can get up to 160 degrees. Yes, as a whole, half the panel isn't going to be 160 and the other room temperature. It's heating up as a whole. When you're running a polisher back and forth in the same area over and over and over again, when you can just wet sand and just do a little bit of polishing from there, it's a lot easier on the clear coat. And with these waterborne clear coats, you want to be as careful as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to have Brian run the polisher, and I'm going to get this close so you guys can see it. Okay, go ahead. This screen is tiny, but you will be able to see the heat spikes on the panel. I'm going to try and get it up there without anything shining off the screen. Yep, right there. Just go back and forth. Correction speed, a little bit of pressure. Might be a little wide.
Brian, there's a wicked glare on that on your thermometer, on your heat meter.
Oh, great. Wonderful. I'm firing it back up. Okay, so this hasn't been charged, of course, but hopefully you got the gist of what I was getting at. This area here can jump up to, we've had it up to 140, 150 degrees just by running the dual action polisher back and forth like you were chasing a scratch that was here. And the rest of the panel is 78. And what I wanted to get across is that it's just too much stress. 3 layers of the painted system, primer, base coat, clear coat, are all different materials, and they will all expand and contract in different ways because they're different materials. So just keep that in mind when you are correcting. Keep the polisher moving. Maybe every once in a while move to a different section of the panel and give this section a time to cool. And rule of thumb for me is to keep this area within 20 degrees of the rest of the panel, and that will relieve the clear coat of a bunch of stress. Make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Grab the chairs. We'll just sit right behind there. All right, we'll take some. Any questions on what we covered so far?
They have lots of questions, but so far you're good on what you've covered. Rick Smith is in the house. Booyah. All right. So in my defense, Papa Smurf, I was making jokes based on bad intel. And now that you've set us straight, we will give your mom a rest. All right. All right. Keep us posted. Let us know how she's doing. And we're sorry if we said anything that might have been out of line while she's in the hospital.
By the way, guys, another thing that the very first thing we have our students do in class is pick up the polisher and burn through the clear on an edge, on a peak, and then sometimes even on these flat surfaces, just so they can feel what it's like. And if anybody's in the chat here that's done that, they can go ahead and explain that to the other viewers. It's not as easy as you would think. It takes being in the same spot for quite some time, and it gives you an idea what it takes to burn through so you can avoid that in the future.
Right. Well, I mean, again, some of the questions that are coming in, X6 asked, Brian, can you talk to us about how to polish curves, edges, and concaves, please? Thanks in advance.
Yes.
I know that's something that you went over in detail while we were there at your class last week, and you have a really neat method. When I was down in Franklinville hanging out with Ryan, he had a kind of a different approach than you did. I kind of feel like yours is the safer approach, whereas his might have been. Well, I mean, obviously he's a professional, so I mean he knows exactly how to work that paint that he was working on. It's an old '66 Chevy Impala, so it can withstand a little bit more damage than a clear coat like this. But again, you went in length into exactly how to do that. If you wouldn't mind showing that again.
Yeah, to keep it basic, to keep yourself out of trouble. When it comes to I hope you can see. Yeah, you can see this. This is right here is a peak, just like is over here. And when I'm polishing, to save the trouble of firing up a polisher so nobody can hear it, if we're polishing and I come up to the edge here, I'm just going to let the polisher go slightly off the edge. I'm not going to bring the polisher and teeter-totter over the peak here and have it bouncing and polishing this peak. I'm just going to come up to the edge and stop. So the polisher and the pad will just slightly go over by maybe 1/4 of an inch. And then what I'm going to do is when I come down to this side, I'm going to bring it up. And I'm going to bring it up to the edge. And I'm going to write it right up the corner here. It's hard to, where am I at here? It's hard to show where I'm at. But I'm going to bring it right up to the peak without writing the peak. It's the best way to describe it. If you are not comfortable with polishing around these peaks and body lines, get yourself a roll of tape, masking tape for pinstripes, and just lay a line down over the peak. Do your polishing here, do your polishing there. When you switch to your finishing pad, you can pull that off, because if you burn through with a finishing pad anywhere, you really need a little bit more practice polishing. That is the most basic way I can explain how to do it, just to get started. Is that what he was referring to?
100%. He says he appreciates this demo very much so.
Okay. Also, if you have polishers of different shapes and sizes, there are other ways to go about it. I was just talking about those who just have a 15 millimeter throw or a 21 millimeter throw or a 3401 or a rotary. If you have different size polishers, grab the shorter polisher and that has the shorter throw, and you'll be able to hug these lines, these body lines, all the way up to the edge without being on it. So grab 3 or 4 polishers and you can get all of those edges and curves down and finished.
James Smith would like to know, does Brian have a class on wet sanding? And if so, when?
All of our classes cover wet sanding. All of them do, because to me, it's the safest way to correct paint. I have a box of 3,000 grit, 2,500 grit. I barely use anything below 2,500 grit. Maybe every once in a while I'll use 2,000 grit on paint anyways. When it comes to headlight, yeah, I'll use 600, 800, whatever it takes. On paint, you really only need 2,500 grit, 3,000 grit, 4,000 grit, and you can polish out from there. So you've done your spot correction with hardly even using the polisher at all.
Let's see here. Humberto would like to know, do you pre-order the badges or do you just reapply them with double-sided tape?
Once you get used to the vehicles, there are going to be some vehicles when you're going to want to reorder the badge just because of the shape or the way the double-sided tape would stick to it. And then as you're sticking it to the car, sometimes it's a lot easier to pre-order the badge. A lot of the larger ones will just use the double-sided clear 3M tape. That clear stuff is 3M, right?
All righty. What else we got going on here? High current. Brian, could you mention how often you are cleaning your pads? How often are you changing them out?
Between every pass. So we'll either have that bucket, whatever that system is, where you're pushing the pad into it. Just bring it over. Yeah. We'll either have that next to us, or I'll be in the bay where the station is right next to a station we have made up where we can use forced air. So we will hit the pad with a cleaner. I will scrub it a little bit. I'll blow it off and right back to work. The reason I do that, even though it feels like it, yeah, this is the one. It may feel like it takes a little time to do that, but once your pad, especially if you're using the 50/50 pad and these fibers getting twisted and matted down, they're not effective. So the time you take to go over and clean them off between each panel, to me, actually saves time.
Do you prefer foam pads or wool pads for heavy cut and polishing?
For heavy cut, it's always going to be a wool pad for me because I'm using the rotary then. Yeah, it's the coolest way. I can't show you that now with the gauge being done, but I'll let the cat out of the bag there. Between the rotary and the dual action polisher, orbital or forced rotation, the rotary will always run cooler. And the reason is most of the pads you're going to put on a rotary, it's going to have fibers where the airflow, there's going to be a lot of airflow where things can stay cool. So the rotary will stay cool by 20 to 40 degrees cooler than what a dual action polisher will.
Wow. See, I would have thought the exact opposite. I thought because of like just the way, the speed and the consistency of the turn, it would just get hotter using, that, especially like the old fashioned wools. And you remember the wool bonnets that were on the old rotaries?
Yeah, no, just because of the airflow. And so there are 3 tiers as to heat when you're correcting. The number one thing we use is the sand disc, the Trizac disc, or the sheets, and we'll spot correct using 3,000 grit and just polish out with a light polish, no heat whatsoever. And then sometimes we'll use the wool pad if we have a whole car that we have to do. We're not going to sand the whole car; we'll just use the rotary.
I heard that blow. Say that again. I'm sorry.
Well, just to finish the pad question, that was just for cutting. When it comes to a one-step, the Eurofiber 50/50 pad here can get 75 to 80% of the work done here in our shop, all depending on the paint system. We have to adjust if it's really hard or really soft, but the one-steps, this gets the work done. And then the fine pad, there's the ultra fine and the fine pad from New Piece or anything that is close to it will take care of our enhancement jobs.
How bad is blowing out pads?
It will destroy them eventually. But if somebody's using the bucket, if 1 or 2 guys are using the bucket and I'm next to the air chuck or the Tortador tool, Carrillo's Garage has one as well. I'll just grab one of those. I know it's, especially for closed cell pads, it is not good at all. It's not good for the open cell pads. It really doesn't do too much with these to clean them. The 50-50 pads, you're going to heat these areas up here, and you'll have a separation between the layers before anything else.
And then have you ever used the spur on the wool pads?
Yep. Yep.
Like
they work great.
They work great?
Yep. Yep. Just turn the polisher on, get the spur out. They work fine. You're going to have a lot of, if you don't have a station that's kind of set up where it can capture the dust and the fibers from these things, it's going to get a little messy.
Kind of off the subject, but we'll hit it real quick. Dan DeCrane would like to know if do you find value in joining the IDA, or do customers not seem to ask about certificates?
That is an awesome question. First of all, you will not gain one customer or lose one customer because you have joined or not joined the IDA. Where the benefits come from is the connection after you've joined. They have a network of detailers near you and far away from you that you can contact and stay in touch with in case you have any questions or any problems or any concerns. And these are guys that have been in the business for a very, very long time. I've made a lot of great friends and connections, and that can mean a lot. So I personally have got a lot out of it, but you will not win or lose a customer because of the membership.
Okay. Hammering through these stars pretty quickly. Aaron and Brian, Walter would like to know how do manufacturers come up with their longevity and durability claims with their coatings?
Well, there's two ways. Obviously, the first way is the way we've done it, and that is taking the time to get the raw formula in just any old bottle without a label, get it sent to you so you can start to test it in your environment. And then the other way they have scrubbers that will make contact and abrade the surface of the panel you applied it to, and they can come up with an equation that will bring you up to a year. That is not accurate. So that's not accurate. So like when somebody comes out with a product line and it's their second year and they have a 5 or an 8 year coating, that's probably what they use to come up with that number.
Right. I know that like Dimitri's garage, he has those machines that put it through the, at the end of the day, to oversimplify the answer, Walter, you're looking at how much coating you're putting on the surface of the vehicle. And then, using the equations, it'll tell you, well, how long under, what kind of wear and tear. Like Brian was saying, environment plays a huge role on longevities. To be completely transparent with my audience, the testing is done in a laboratory. It's done in a controlled environment with a controlled environment. And so therefore you can say that we in the lab, but nobody ever says in the lab. They just say, oh, well, this coating lasts X amount of years. But you need to understand that they're saying that in the lab, it's lasting this amount of years. It's not going to be subject to, like my car sits outside underneath a Japanese pear tree, and it gets bombarded with bird stuff and berries and, twigs and leaves and everything else, and then of course the sun sitting out, it's definitely not garage kept. So I'm not going to get the same amount of longevity, even though it says, oh, this, Chronos can last 5 years. I'm not going to get the same longevity out of it because of the way that the vehicle is kept, the way the vehicle is maintained, the way the vehicle is, I abuse the heck out of my cars, and I'm definitely not, testing them as regularly as I should. I remember when I was testing Hydra V3 and I showed Brian the video. Brian was like, "Dude, how could you let your car get that dirty?" And I was like, "It's so that I could test the Hydra V3 when it came out. Like, it's a perfect test vehicle." But again, to answer your question, Walter, it's a calculation of how much material or active ingredient is being left behind on the surface of the vehicle, and then under normal wear and tear, how long will it take for that to wear through? And they use different machines, and a lot of people will use wash tests. They'll say, okay, you wash a vehicle 3 times a month. So we're going to wash it 3 times a month until that the coating is no longer there. And let's say it lasts, 30 washes. That's what, 10 months?
Yeah, to me, that doesn't mean shit because that doesn't take into consideration the environmental exposure that it gets to on top of the washing.
Agreed. I agreed. But I'm just saying those are the different methods that a lot of people will go through. But at the end of the day, I think most of the time they're using that machine in the lab, and that's where they get those numbers from. I mean, one of those clown companies gave like a lifetime code. It's a lifetime coating. It'll last for forever. And you read the fine print, and it's like if you don't show proof of everything that was done to this vehicle, the prep, the maintenance, on video, sent to them, they won't honor the warranty guarantee. So, in a nutshell, I hope that answers your. I'm rambling, but I hope that answers your question. What's next? Bees?
We can show a little bit of scratch removal using the wet sand technique. We're going to grab the little wet sand kit that we have. We'd be happy to do that for you if you want to. Something sharp.
Westcat, I got to tell you, I love using gloss and wax. And the vehicles that I detail, which is usually just friends and family and goofing off, I love using gloss and wax. I think that there's something, not to sound weird, but more intimate about using a wax. I think it's warmer. I think it has a glow to it, and I think it has a deeper sense of gloss. So I prefer to use a wax as well. I just really like using the waxes. I mean, yeah, it's going to be a little bit more labor intensive in the long run, but ultimately that's why we're in this chat room right now, is because we all love cars. We all love our cars. We love working on our cars. We love playing with our cars and trying stuff. So to say that it's more labor intensive in the long run, who cares? Like, that's the least of my concerns is, I'm going to have to apply a wax sooner than I will a 5-year coating or something like that. I think that I don't know. I like the wax experience, and it was an absolute thrill to be able to work on that. Especially the single stage paint with a wax. You have to, and it's just great. Yeah, garage therapy, exactly. It's garage therapy, Mark, 100%.
Oh, okay. Can everybody see these 2 scratches right here?
Hold on a second. Bloop, bloop. Yes.
Okay. No matter the color, the scratches always have like a grayish, whitish look to them, especially in the center of the scratch. And there's a reason for that. If you look at it microscopically, the valley of these scratches would be like Crystal Cave if you have one near you. So all of the stalagmites and stalactites, they're all shiny and jagged and sharp edges. And when light refracts off of those, it just looks horrible. And it doesn't matter what the color is of the vehicle. A lot of these are going to be either almost through the clear coat, too far down into the clear coat where you don't want to chase them fully, or through the clear into the color coat. So improvement. And it's up to you to communicate with the customer and set expectations. I guarantee they'll be happy if you use this method. This method will keep the surface from getting super hot. It'll save the clear in the area. The very first thing you want to do is take 2500 grit, and you want to go perpendicular with the scratch and then against the scratch. So start off going this way. Yeah. We always do wet sanding at our shop because we want to keep any dust controlled and in those water droplets rather than have them getting airborne and up under our films or into our coatings. Completely up to you. Let me get there you go.
All right, Jim Smith, I hope you're paying attention because this is the master class on wet sanding.
It didn't take very long. Already, we have this white milky substance right here, and that is clear coat. We are shaving clear coat. So correction, it's so funny to think of it this way, but we are correcting scratches by scratching. So we're scratching and scratching and scratching, and we're correcting that way. Smaller and smaller, smaller scratches until the naked eye cannot see them and the surface looks glossy. So at this point, when you see this milky substance, go ahead and wipe off the panel. Let it dry a little bit. And you should be able to see how far you've dug into the clear. And what you're looking for, can you still see the scratch, number one? And number two, do you still see the same texture that is in the surrounding areas? If the surrounding areas have texture and it's smooth in here, I would stop right there because you're really getting deep into the clear to begin with. Go a little bit right here with your 2500 grit. And then a little bit right there. Okay. Clean that off. Now we want to do a little bit of blending. 2500 grit isn't much of a big deal, but if you have texture here in the surrounding areas, and then it just goes to perfectly smooth, that may draw somebody's attention. Somebody that has an eye for it, that may draw their attention to this area. So you want to blend a little bit. So we're going to grab 3000 grit, and not only are we going to sand this area, we're going to sand a wider area and do a little bit of blending. That's how you blend it in and make it a gradual, smooth to textured area, if that makes sense. So go ahead, spray it.
For those of you that are just joining us, the two Brians are showing us his master class, and we are at the stage of wet sanding.
So it takes a little bit longer, but eventually you will see that white milky substance floating in within the water droplets, and that is, again, clear coat. We have a wider area sanded. Wipe that off. Check our work. And this may be harder to see, but with the 3000 grit, you could still see a little bit of sheen through the sand marks. And that will show you that these can be easily polished out with a fine polish. You can use your Fab Finish. You can use Papa Cut. Either one would work perfectly be fine. Use whatever you want to use on that foam pad. So the foam pad we have on a DA is a Rupes or Rupes. I don't know how the hell you say it. I don't care, just so it works.
They say it's Rupes because of the Italian flair.
Again, to me, the only thing that matters is if it works for me.
Right. Neil, we had guys coming out from, we had Massachusetts. There were two people from Virginia, two separate people from, they didn't come together. So we had Virginia. We had a guy from upstate New York. We had a guy from Massachusetts. There was, I think one of the classes that I took earlier, somebody came all the way from Texas. I think, you just call ahead and we can all crash at Brian's house. We'll have a big slumber party at Brian's house. And he also buys us lunch. So that's, that's worth the trip alone. So seriously, what are you waiting for, Neil? Come on out. It's a good time. Have an old school lock-in. That's right. Oh my gosh. This guy, he just dated himself. That's awesome.
Okay, so if it doesn't remove it altogether, what it will do for you, it will get rid of that gray or white looking line. And all that would be left is a nice smooth valley, if that makes sense. And even when the light shines in there and refracts about, there will be nothing to shine back in your eyes that will, look awful or look ugly. More than 9 times out of 10, the customer won't see anything left over, and he will be smiling from ear to ear. I'm going to move the camera back to where it was.
Oh,
Seriously, fellas. Honestly, that's the reason why I call you Yoda and Obi-Wan, because everybody's commenting on how good that looks, as good as new. Like, you guys just do magic in your shop. So you really do.
So we spot correct those areas first, guys, before we move on and do, the rest of the correction. We take care of those, and that's all done. Number one, without spiking the temperature whatsoever, maybe a couple degrees when you get to the polishing. But when you're wet sanding, that temperature is not, there's a little bit of friction there, but you're not doing anything to the clear that puts it through stress. And you've gotten rid of a lot of those ugly marks, unseen marks. And then you can go on and do an enhancement or one step, and that vehicle is going to look incredible. I do want to show the difference between a one step and an enhancement. If there's no more questions.
Actually, that was a question that they were asking a lot in the beginning. So that would be fantastic if you would go into that.
Yeah, we'd love to get into that. Any questions so far before we get into that section?
So far, I've been scanning, and no, they were all just completely impressed by your wet sanding abilities. Let's see it. Well, everybody wants to see it right now.
That was Brian's wet sanding. He's the two Brians. I couldn't be any luckier. When I was in, so I've been back and forth. When I started out, I was in a 1-bay, and then I went to a 6-bay with lifts, and then I couldn't find workers to fill up those bays, and I was the one staying there till 10, 11 o'clock getting the work done. And I thought, the hell with that. I thought I would move into a more intimate place with just my son and I, so I can keep an eye on him and myself and make things a lot easier. And then we got so crazy busy again. I couldn't find it upon myself to let all that work go and give it away. So now we moved back into a big shop again. And I had no qualms about that because of the employees, the boys we got here. Besides Brian and Brian, we have Nathaniel. He's a very, very young detailer, picking up film and coatings and wet sanding and correction. Hard worker, just a great kid. And then, of course, we still have Dan coming in. He has his equipment here right now. He's going to be working on one tomorrow. Retired veteran, Navy vet. I'm just so lucky to be around incredible employees. And it's like having friends around. Just one word of advice: when you do find talent like that, take care of them, do what you need to do to keep them sticking around with you. All you have to do is be fair, be a decent human being as a boss, and you're going to be perfectly fine. Okay, I'm going to scooch the cameras around again. So give me a second. Get the camera pointed down in just this half section.
Hey, while setting up shop, Mr. Senior, X-Ghost wants to know, Are all foam cannon filters pretty generic?
Well, he did just walk away.
Oh,
So we will have to ask him that again.
all right. And then for you, would you use a sander ever, or was it always wet sanding by hand?
I prefer to go by hand. That way I can actually feel how deep I am going into the clear.
Yeah.
When you're using a sander, it masks. You could accidentally go a lot further than you want to.
Okay. I accidentally dropped the bottle and scratched my new vehicle. Dropped a spray bottle. Bad luck. I'll be wet sanding it out at some point. Yeah, it sounds like you're going to have to. That's an excellent question. When I first started, I was shown wet sanding using a machine, and I thought the exact same thing, Mayall. Like there's no way that you can really gauge what you're doing. You're just kind of you're attacking the entire problem with like a sledgehammer when maybe all you need is a tack.
Yeah. When you're doing it by hand, either with a sheet or a disc, you're getting the feel for the panel. You're getting a feel for the contours. It's giving you a chance to keep an eye on the area you're correcting. We hardly ever use a machine, and they do make fantastic machines that actually keep a feed of moisture and water so you can keep flushing the area and keep your pads clean. But just like Aaron said, it's overkill. What was there, a question about a filter?
Yeah, he wanted to know if basically the question was, are all what was it? Foam cannon filters the same? It says, are all foam cannon filters pretty generic?
Yeah, they all have pretty much the same openings. If you look at the screen microscopically, I'm not sure what that measurement is, but they all have, they're all conformed to be about the same.
What is the difference between dry and wet sanding as far as results?
As far as results, very, very little. The difference between the two that I find very important is, again, controlling the dust that comes from the sanding. Those water droplets and the moisture keep all of the dust on that panel rolling down onto the floor where you can easily clean it up. Where dry sanding, it goes airborne. And for us here, that is a no-no.
Are we waiting? Are you about to do something?
Yep, I'm ready. I was just waiting for any other questions.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know where this fits, but Humberto's asked it twice, so I'm just going to throw it out there because how would you manage sanding factory dust nibs versus repainted car dust nibs? I try to be careful with repainted cars and measure with a gauge.
Yeah, exactly. When it's repainted, we hesitate on working on them compared to factory paint because you never know how much, even if you have a paint depth gauge, if it's not a DeFelsco, it can show you all three layers, a $10,000 DeFelsco, you're only guessing how much of that's clear. And you don't know how much a body shop gave you when it comes to respraying. From factory, you have a little bit of an idea. All you have to do is kind of guess and maybe look and see if somebody's corrected already and has shaved clear coat off. But when it comes to dust nibs, I like to use the razor blade.
What is a dust nib, first of all?
A particle of dust or fiber or hair that lands in the paint while it's wet, and that can either land in the primer color coat or clear coat portion of that layer. So, I like to use the razor blade, and that grab a razor blade, and if this was the razor blade here, I wrap a piece of tape around this corner and around that corner, and it just slightly lifts up the blade enough where you can drag it along the paint, especially a flat portion of a panel, and it'll just clip off the top of the nib, Then you do a little bit of color sanding and you're done. Polish out from there.
How often do you experience these nibs?
Dust nibs are on every new car, every panel. If you look for them, you're going to find them.
Huh.
I mean, they were prominent on the Teslas a couple of years ago, but even they've gotten better at that. Corvette has a lot of them. What other cars have you found them on? Every one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every single car, every brand new car, every panel, you're going to find them.
Look at me learning something every day. And how many of these classes have I sat in on? Booyah.
All of them?
That's right. All right. On with the show.
Okay. So first of all, is there anybody that can tell us the difference and describe the difference between an enhancement and a one-step that hasn't been to the class? That would be a great giveaway question.
That is a good. Are you giving away stuff or am I giving away stuff today?
Go ahead.
All right. So for a bottle of Hydra V3, what's the difference between paint correction and paint enhancement?
And while everybody's typing, I can answer a question I saw. Does it matter the brand of sandpaper? No, it doesn't matter. This is from Griot's Garage Kit, I believe. No, that's from.
That one's 3M over there.
Oh, okay.
The one that I actually used.
So here's
How do you feel about that answer, Brian?
Here's a great kit here, or you could use Trizac discs from Amazon. It doesn't matter where they come from, as long as they cut, you're good to go. Some will last longer than others, of course.
Brian, how do you feel about this answer? Can you read your screen?
The first portion of that is correct, but it's not completely correct.
All right, so then we'll move on. Cool. I don't even know if Keith Firebird's eligible to win, but there's an answer.
Yeah, it's definitely that one's
getting
true,
getting closer.
It's not all of it. Right there is the best one right there.
Yeah.
Becca.
All right, Becca. I'm pretty sure Becca's not eligible to win either. She wins everything too. It's always there's 4 people that win everything. All right, Becca Green, for a bottle of Hydra 3.0. Enhancement is just a cleaning, brightening, and one step is best. You Van do with pad polish combo. That's fun language. You Van do with pad polish. All right, Becca, I'm writing you down. Winner, chicken dinner, Hydra V3. Now, make sure that you text me, email me, call me later because you know I'm going to forget. So.
All set?
All right, rock and roll, sir.
Okay. So let's start. Let's start with the enhancement first. With the enhancement, you're going to pick a fine polishing pad or a polishing pad and a fine polish or a cleaner polish, something that isn't aggressive. And there are so many out there. We already have the best on hand, so we just stick with it. This combination here, we're going to load onto a pad. We're going to do a section at a time, 3x3 section. And what we're going to do is a crisscross section that's equal to 2 passes. We're going to go up, overlapping by a quarter of the pad, up and down, and then left to right. Same thing, overlapping. That's equal to 2 passes. We are immediately going to wipe off the residue and move over to the next section. We're not looking back. We're not looking back at the scratch. We're not looking back at any imperfection that may be left behind after the enhancement. What we did here is we brightened, we cleaned the paint work. We've made it glossy as hell with just that step. And you're not going to spend any more time in this section. You're going to move on and do the exact same thing and fly around the car and get done in a timely manner. Sticking to these guidelines in a professional setting, in a shop or a mobile setting, is going to be important to your success because you're going to charge for these packages. And if you're spending too much time on these packages, you're going to start losing money. It's going to cut into the overhead. So an enhancement is simply something that's not aggressive, like this combination right here is perfect. Do your section, 2 passes, crisscross pattern, move on. Don't even look back. If you see something out of your corner of your eye that's in this section here, ignore it and keep your attention to the panel section you're working on, and then move on from there to the next section and get around that car. That is an enhancement. Make sense? Shouldn't take you any longer than what, an hour and a half to get an enhancement done?
Depending on the size of the car. Yeah.
An hour and a half. So when we build, we have an hour and a half in mind when it comes to an enhancement, the correction portion of it anyway. We're not talking about the prep and then the protection that may follow. So, capiche?
Gotcha.
Bosh.
1 steps. We're going to get just a little bit more aggressive. We're going to have in mind that this is going to take more time, maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And we're going to charge accordingly if we're doing this for a business. If you're doing this on your own, I would just do the 1 step and then follow what I'm going to say here. If you're doing this to maintain your own car or correct your own vehicles. I love the 50-50 pad. Again, that will get 80% of the work done here at the shop. And then for this, we will team it up with Papa. Papa giving an excellent cut out of that first pass. And then the abrasives roll over, smooth out a little bit, and they get smaller and smaller, and that's how you get that gorgeous finish. Sometimes I'll even, if I'm doing a multi-step correction, I'll swap pads without even wiping it off and finish out from there, and it works perfectly. But when it comes to a 1-step, load up your pad here with Papa, and then again, do crisscross pattern, overlapping by 1/4 of a pad. Left to right, then up and down. Wipe off your residue, and with a 1-step, you're getting paid a little bit more, so you can spend a little bit more time. If you see something that you do not like, you have the time and the budget to come back and quickly hit it before moving on to the next section. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes great sense.
Go on to your next section and do the exact same thing, and you're cutting a little bit deeper. You're taking more time out of your day, and you should be compensated for that, but those are the differences. And then, of course, a multi-step correction. I can get into that. What we do is we spot correct just like we did with this scratch right here. We'll do those first. Then we'll do this step. And sometimes even add a 3rd step with, and maybe even a 4th with a jeweling polish. It depends on the budget for the customer. It depends on the time that we have allotted for that vehicle.
Brian, do you prefer open cell pads for 1-steps or closed cell pads?
I prefer open cell pads for anything I do, for just the fact that they run cooler. Open cell pads will allow better airflow. The closed cell pads, guys, they're great because they keep the product that you put on the pad pushed up to the surface. So they're never getting wicked or pushed into the pad where they disappear, but they run hotter. Open cell pads, you need to clean them out after every pass because of the fact that the product is getting pushed into the open cells, if that makes sense.
Thank you. Nice. America's oldest brewery.
Damn right it is, and it's only 20 minutes from me.
Hey, by the way, while we're on the subject, I just wanted to say thank you to both of you guys. I mean, it's a Saturday night. You're still in the shop, which means you still, once this show is over, and we've been running this for about an hour and a half so far, you guys still have to go home. You probably haven't eaten dinner, all of those things. So, again, a true testimony of your friendship to me. I really, truly appreciate you guys doing this. I know it's a lot, and so thank you. And I hope that everybody in the audience and anybody that listens to this later understands that and appreciates like what you have taught me as far as customer service is concerned. This is the ultimate in customer service. You know, you're doing a service to everybody that's watching and listening, and of course, you're helping me, you know, with the show. So.
We wouldn't think twice of it. Hell, we're here all the time anyway. That's why we have practically a movie theater in here. We have.
I saw those chairs. Those chairs look. I was like, hey, maybe I want to get a job here and just chill out, like, you know.
Yeah, I had those.
I'll be your social media guru.
Yep, absolutely. No, we have everything here. We could live here for a week easily. We have food. We have showers. We have everything here that we need.
Good. We love you, Brian, says Daryl Mayall. Yep.
We love you all.
Daryl, how do you pronounce your last name? I don't want to get that wrong again because I know I just butchered it horrible. It was funny when I was in basic and they would have us all line up, and they'd be, you know, we'd get letters and stuff from loved ones. Like the DSs would just try to butcher your name as much as humanly possible. Just call you horrible things, because are they massage chairs? They look like they definitely have remote controls.
LED, massage, tilt, head tilt. Yeah, they're loaded.
Meharg, Daryl Meharg, we appreciate you, sir. Now I want a beer. Of course you do. You should be drinking one, Wes.
Crack one open.
Yeah, right. America. All right. So what's next after that?
Hey, when I say in my videos it's a 16 lager job, I'm not shitting you.
All right, we did that question. I got two other questions, but they're not really pertaining to what we're doing right now, so I'm going to hold on to them till probably the end. Brian, how do you deal with angry clients?
Oh, that's a great question. We get one a year. I don't know what it is about it, but we normally get one psycho a year. So the best way to deal with them is just to stay calm and do what you can with them to make them happy without losing your ass. You know, when it comes to, let me give you an example. The last one we had in here this year's unruly customer. I should have probably seen what type of a person it was and communicated to him more expectations. When it comes to paint protection film, it is a real difficult job to stay on your game and get expectations across to the customer, because everybody seems to come in thinking paint protection film, for instance, is an extension of the beauty of your car. Yes, you should apply it so nobody sees it, but film doesn't come to you perfectly. It doesn't go in a car perfectly, and it doesn't stay perfect. It gets beat up, and there's some customers that don't understand that. And I had one that didn't understand it to a point where he wanted to punch me and bring a baseball bat to the shop and beat up the shop. Fortunate for us, we were standing right in front of our doorbell thing that recorded every single word. I even moved over so we could speak a little louder into it. So we recorded everything. But we did end up making him happy. And in the end, he drove away and he was fine. And both of us are better for
it. What about like from your product line? Have you ever had a customer on your product line like not happy with some aspect, or didn't perform the way that that he had expected or she expected?
Oh yeah, that happens. It's going to happen. It's going to happen to everybody, and that's because something catastrophic went wrong. And your job is to, from a remote area, figure out what happened for him, which is really hard to do. I wasn't there during prep. I wasn't there during application. I wasn't there during wipe off. I wasn't there to keep a gauge on the bonding and the curing time. I wasn't there to see what the car went through after it was applied, how it was maintained, and then got to the point where there was a problem. It's still my job to figure out what happened, and I do my best for that. Sometimes it's just impossible to do, but in the end, I believe I've always made everybody happy with the end result.
Yeah, I hope so. I had a customer recently, like a dog. He just wouldn't let it go. And I mean, I tried everything. I replaced the product. I offered to, I tried to do everything I possibly could do to make him whole. Like in the terms of the legal world, you use, how do I make you whole? And I tried everything, and he was just like, I'm done with the Phoenix brand. I'm done with Phoenix. And I'm like, I don't know what else to tell you. I'm really sorry. And I wish that it could be different. I don't know what else you want from me. I don't know what I could possibly do to further make you whole. So I guess maybe you're better off with like chemical guys, where it's all the same crap, and
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about.
I agree. I've done that as well. Some things you can't. There are some connections that you just can't. You can't see through to the end. There are some results that you're just not going to get. In some instances, I just ended it by producing another product line to them and wishing them the absolute best, which I do. I hope they find what they're looking for, but you can't make everybody happy.
Nope, you can't. But I mean, for someone like you, someone like me, I take it personally, because I have I'm invested in the product. I'm invested in the company. There's a passion for the company. There's a passion for the product, and it's like, again, you're right. So, yeah, Smokey, you're absolutely right. Some people just suck, and it was weird, because I really felt like I went, like I even offered to pay for equipment. Like I'm like, whatever I can do to salvage this relationship, and it just wasn't gonna. It just, there was nothing I could do. So at that point, I had to basically walk away from it. I'm like, all right, well, you know what, I'm sorry that you feel that way. Good luck. I wish you the best. So bump. How often do you get trains running through there?
We are right next to the tracks. Here comes one. So it's either a truck or a train.
Yeah.
Every 20 or so.
Ambulances, fire trucks.
Yeah, ambulances, fire trucks.
Every day.
The shop manager can never
Not to mention those biker rallies that apparently happen hourly at your shop.
Oh yeah, yep, those two. Yeah, the POW runs are very popular in the area. Sissy can barely get a good deep nap in. Poor girl, she's right here.
All right, I'm trying to keep this thing on the rails. What's next? What do you do? What we just did the paint enhancement versus paint correction. Where do we go from here? We are approaching.
I would like to go over something that is always popular during the classes when it comes to paint correction, and that is problems with the rotary. Where's the rotary? Right there it is. I need let's get the wool pad back on there. So let's bring the camera down. Okay, where are we at? Okay, right here. Let me turn the camera just a little bit more. When it comes to the rotary, you want to keep it flat. And you want the entire pad to make contact with the surface. If it's tilted, you're only correcting a small portion, and it's going to take you forever to get the correction done. But what you're doing is you're plowing. You're really digging into one area of the paint, and the rest of the pad's off. So keep it flat. And the biggest problem everybody has with the rotary is when it starts to get a little bit out of control, and it's starting to wiggle, it's starting to hop, and it's starting to pull the polisher in one direction or another. So I'll have him demonstrate just running it down and back flat, and I'll have him stop, and I'll explain how to get rid of the hops or the jumps. The first thing is having enough of the product you're working with on the pad. If the pad gets dried out,
and that happens quickly using the wool pad because of all the airflow. It's going to start to grab the surface a lot quicker because of that friction.
Becca wants you to make sure you watch your beard. Don't move it.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Becca says, watch your foot. It's getting close to the beer, and she's worried.
Hey. We have the rotary with the electronic interface, and there's no buffering or feathering how you start that. There's no slow start, soft start. We love the polisher, but those electronic interfaces, they suck. If you get the ones with the dials and the triggers, you can slowly start that and keep everything under control.
Is it preferred to start out slow?
I would start out slow and then just take it up slowly. You can keep it under control the whole time. If you start to get a little bit out of control and it starts to wiggle or hop, take it up on a 10 or 15 degree angle. It will smooth out immediately, and then immediately slowly start to lay it down flat.
It's fascinating how you get it to turn down the volume like that. Brian with all of his fancy technology.
So he had it under control. The polisher wasn't being jabbed. It wasn't screaming on the 6th or 7th speed setting. And he was just using his hand to guide it, not push down 25 pounds of square foot-pounds to the panel and really digging into it. You're letting the polisher, whether it's a rotary or a dual action or orbital or whatever, do the work. And you're just guiding it. Again, if you're tired by the end of the day from detailing, you're doing it completely wrong, especially when it comes to paint correction. But the hops, that's what scares everybody. It gets out of control because it starts to wobble, it starts to hop. Just slowly take it up on a 10 or 15, and it'll smooth out immediately. And then slowly take it back down, get back to level, keep on moving.
So what causes that hopping? Like what causes it, and then why does that fix it?
The whatever material it is, wool or microfiber or foam, and I only use wool pads and finishing pads on my rotary. But when things really dry out and all that's making contact to the surface is the pad, and there's no correction fluids in there to kind of smooth out the ride, that's what makes it grab and take control of the polisher. So having enough of your correction fluid on there is huge. The speed too. Not only that, but the hardness of your clear coat. I find that the softer clear coats will grab onto your pad with a rotary a lot quicker, and you have more hopping than a real hard last over clear coat. Again, some like to put microfiber and foam pads on. The only pads that are different from the wool pads I put on a rotary are going to be your finishing pads. I don't have any here, but anything in between, I'll just swap over to the DA. During the day, I'm using all the polishers. I'll use this one. Then I'll switch over to another one. I'll switch to a DA. I'll switch to the forced rotation. I like them all, and I'll switch between all of them to keep things fresh. So I don't really have a favorite. If I, was forced to pick one, it's always going to be the rotary.
Really interesting.
Yep. Without hesitation.
This is such a good, fun group. I love these guys.
It's a great group.
It's like it's familiar. People not just like they don't just know you. They don't just know me. They know each other. They all have this relationship with each other. That exists outside of the Curmudgeons and all the other different. If you go to a lot of these different live streams, the same groups will be in there, and you just kind of get to know each other and you get a feel for each other, and that's ultimately what I really some, I mean, there are people in this chat group that really, honestly, really keep me going. And somebody asked you earlier, what keeps you in the game? What keeps your drive for the detail? Honestly, it's these relationships here in the chats and in the DMs that ultimately fuel me to on the slow days and on the grinding days, on the days that the sales are down, and the election year that we're having, like all of the weirdness in the world that's existing. It's really this group that keeps me going. And I mean, I look forward to the Curmudgeon's Corner probably more than anybody else does, because that's when I get to be a part of this this family. And it means so much to me. You guys mean so much to me. Exactly. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that. Kimberly, we have a ticket. Brian donated a ticket. The last time he came on the show, I think it was Curmudgeon's Corner 32. You've donated a free session ticket. So I mean, if somebody wants to nominate somebody after Thanksgiving, there's a lot of really cool things. Humberto's donated 2 polishers, a crazy ton of product. I know that Rick, he donated a bunch of stuff from, I want to say, the Rag Company. I know that Christy said that she was donating an entire detailing kit from Next Level. Like the outpour for the Pay It Forward campaign is just really, really coming along. I know Hawaii Tim has been really active in that. He wants to donate a bunch of stuff, and he said he's got a bunch of stuff coming my way. I honestly, if I could get away from doing the chemicals and just focus on this stuff, oh man, then I've made it. Like, that's the success level. Like, I would rather give up all of that other stuff and be a part of this than anything else. So, Greeny the detailer, we got Australia in the house. Look out. We are now worldwide. Kim, you've already donated a crazy amount of money to.
So that ticket is still available.
What?
Aaron?
What?
The ticket is still available for the class.
Yes, sir. We don't award the prizes until Thanksgiving/Christmas. So,
well, whoever gets it, just pay attention to which class we're having. Some classes will do a mix of everything, like we did the last class. We're going to have some class dedicated to PPF. We're going to have some 3-day classes. We're going to have some classes just dedicated to coatings and our product line. And we'll have some classes just dedicated to paint correction.
Okay.
So there will be.
I mean, obviously, the people that are listening and watching the show, the people that are being nominated for the contest, they have all these different levels of ability, from the weekend warrior novice all the way to super pros that have been detailing for forever. So definitely would I will tell that recipient to tailor it to pay attention to what class that they want to go to. I appreciate the heads up.
Absolutely.
Eileen, yeah. Here's the thing, Westcat, about the Eileen. Not that I'm opposed to it, but if you watch the series that I'm about to put out on the barn find, the Restore barn find, we added a little bit of Kraken to Apex Auto Wash, you're getting that high pH auto wash. So, I mean, like, I guess I could mix it on my end and rebrand it as a high pH, or you could just take a little bit of Kraken and dump it into your soap bottle, and you've made it yourself. So Again, I'm kind of on the fence on, like, I don't like to be redundant, and I don't like to do things that, like, for example, Brian has demonstrated so many times how the Hydra makes for such a great glass cleaner. And so, like, I'm kind of on the fence about coming out with a glass cleaner because I have a product that can already be used as a glass cleaner. So I get, I trip all over my feet. Now, my marketing guy, he's like, well, when people are searching online for a glass cleaner, they're looking for a glass cleaner. They're not looking for a rinseless wash. So they type in glass cleaner, and Hydra's never going to show up in 1,000 million searches for glass cleaner. Hydra will never show up. It just won't happen. So if you're going to be an e-commerce type of company, which we are, we don't really do any, brick and mortar. You kind of have to make a glass cleaner. So the high pH soap, as alluring as it is, I'm kind of like, well, I already have a great soap and a great high pH cleaner. You mix those two together, you've got it. But at the same time, if somebody's looking for a high pH soap, Apex is never going to show up, and Kraken is never going to show up. So you got to walk this line of, I don't know, being redundant. I guess am I rambling again? Mayall, you look like I'm rambling.
I would just come out with a high pH soap, and it takes the guesswork out of mixing two together.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, Eileen just rolls off the tongue, so it does work. It does work. Of course, she's not here tonight, so I mean, she kind of left me holding the bag there. Anyway, I'm getting off the top. Yeah, somebody had asked a question about. I'm trying to scroll back through. It was basically. Oh yeah, there you go. How do you all keep your body in shape to detail? It definitely takes a toll. When I went to quote unquote detailing school, when I first started working for the old company, and they sent me to work with a bunch of detailers, the one thing that I learned was I didn't want to be a detailer. When you guys are squatting and working in the really low places, it's gotta hurt your back and your knees. Like, I would imagine those two things probably take the biggest brunt of it all. I've been in your shop. I haven't seen them. I know, like, when I was working down in Franklinville with Ryan, he actually has lifts installed so that he can raise the vehicles up, so he doesn't have to do all the laying on the ground, working on the bottoms of stuff. But, like, what do you guys do?
I personally have a strict diet. I do resistance weight training, and I also do a hiking with the friend back here. Yeah, keeping yourself light on your feet is huge. It saves the wear and tear of your foot. I weigh now the exact same I did when I graduated in '91.
Yeah, someday I'm going to have you on the Curmudgeon's Corner, and we're going to talk about that, because you've gone through quite a transformation throughout the years of your life, and I don't think anybody knows the story arc of the man known as Brian Spitler Sr. And it's a great story. I've been fascinated from the stories that you've told me over lunch.
I posted I believe I posted recently when I was at 205, 206, 207. Now that weight, my frame is not built for. I'm built for 160, and that's it. So it took a toll.
Man, I haven't seen 160 since my sophomore year of high school. Are you kidding me? Holy cow. I think, let's see, wait a second. I had my accident in 94, and I atrophied to 145. I got out of the Army in like the best condition of my life at 185. I mean, and I was a monster when I came out of the Army. And then I had my accident, and then I went into the hospital, and I came out at 145, and I was just disgustingly skinny, gross. But yeah, that was the smallest I've ever been, and now I'm just this ginormously fat blob. I wish I was one. What did you say? 165? Holy cow. Anyway. Right? HM, he's with me. All right. Solidarity. Have some apple juice and who cares? Maybe somebody wants maybe for Christmas, instead of a new Mercedes, we get a lift in there. Huh? What do you think?
We have a lift.
Yeah, we have a quick jack system.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we have to, it gets a little annoying at times, so we have to drag it out and set it up, and it's a process. And add most of the time that we need the cars.
You're kind of cutting out a little bit. Sorry.
So it's a good tool to have. It's just the main thing is it's a process to get it set up where we have to take it out of our back room, and before we go to lift the car up, we have to make sure that all the jack points are good and it's not going to lift into the floor pan or hit anything that it shouldn't be hitting. And then that also tends to cut into our time with the car as well.
So basically, it's not a necessary thing. It's definitely a luxury thing, and that you most likely are just going to forego it because it's such a pain in the ass to work with.
Well, it depends on the car and what package it's getting exactly.
Yeah, if you're doing PPF, you want to get it up in the air. If you're doing paint correction down near the bottom of the car, you want to get it up in the air. The quick jacks hang on the walls, so we just hang them in the back. And then you have to bring them out and hook up every single hose and get it all together and then tear it down again. But it's an option. There were 2 lifts in here, 3 lifts. They just sawed the post right out from the floor. So it would be hard to find a place in the center of the bays where they should be to get more in. It's an option, but we've been getting by with high volume just with the quick jacks. If you're gonna get quick jacks, get the 5,000 or 7,000 pound with the extended version.
All right. Well, we are approaching the 2-hour mark. I don't know how much more you want to go down the rabbit hole with your masterclass.
The only 2 things that I wanted to, well, there's one thing left. I just wanted to show there's still so many questions on BC8 and 9. I can demonstrate them on the panel here if they want to see.
They definitely have asked, and I told them in the chats that scheduled a demo on the BC8 and the BC9 is scheduled for tonight. So obviously, you definitely have to talk about that. So if that's what you want to go with, I have a couple of questions that I've starred. That we can talk about while you're setting it up, or how this is your master class, sir. So whatever you want to do.
No, fire off with the questions. They're first. I'm not.
All right. So the first one that I have here was from Aaron Bauer. He asked earlier, Brian, are there any plans for an updated series of your favorite products for each category?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. By the way, when this comes off, I have new equipment, audio and video waiting for me. I will be starting a fresh channel, a new channel, and I will be going in a different direction, but still within the detailing industry. So we will still see product testing, and my products will be sprinkled in there every once in a while. You will see tons of other new products, and I will show them in action. It will just be a different channel, different format. The Apex channel, we are going to designate just for videos for the shop, demonstrating the work that we do. So we want to kind of separate that. I want to kind of clean up the type of footage that we put on the channel. So I'm going to have a different channel. I got this channel with 250,000. I'm going to get the next one to 250,000. So I can't wait to have you all follow along
Well, definitely. I mean, the Phoenix family is going to show up for sure. Dude, how about X's and O's? They just came out with their new podcast, and they're already over 500 subscribers. I called him up, and I was like, dude, Matt, how did you do that? Like, I've been doing this for 2 years, and I'm at 300 and some. And he was just like, I got the word out, and my friends and family told everybody, hey, even if you don't listen or watch, just go and subscribe. And I'm like, well, congratulations, bud, because I mean, you guys deserve all the success. I mean, you guys are pathfinders for me, and Brian, you've obviously you've helped forge Phoenix and everything that Phoenix does from the very beginning. So I'm sure that we will all follow you on the new channel. All right. Next question before you get going into that. Brian, is there a vehicle that you've always wanted to detail but haven't had a chance to detail?
There was until the Koenigsegg, and there were two versions of the Koenigsegg that were finally purchased locally, one legal and one not legal. He had both of them. Must be nice. But at that point, I mean, I didn't even know how to move, get him in and out of the shop. I had no idea how to operate it, put it in reverse. I mean, such a beautiful and exotic and spaceship-like car. I forget what they were called exactly. Like, I forget what they were, but yeah, there was one legal version for the state and one that wasn't. And then he relocated to Florida, so I lost those two. But there were two for the longest time, and I finally got to do them.
All right.
Oh, well, we.
B. Stewart, Executive Car Care. Welcome to the show. All right, and then the last but not least, this one's actually for Brian Mayall. Is he around still, or did he just run off?
He's doing things in the background to keep the show going.
All right, well then I'll wait.
He's listening. Go ahead.
Oh, so Brian Mayall, in each category of the detail, from all the way from the pre-soak, the wheels, the entire process. The question was, what would be Brian's favorite product? Brian Mayall's. It specifically asked you, what would be Brian Mayall's favorite products?
Well, I'm a big fan of whatever works and works well. So I use am I supposed to go into like specifics for each thing?
I would say so. I mean, that was the question, but you don't have to put you on the spot. And again, you don't have, this is just because you're on Curmudgeon's Corner, it's not a
Okay. Fast Fire. Wheels.
Furies.
Panel prep.
Peleus.
Cutting compound.
What is it? What was it? What is it?
Designated cutting compound.
Let's pass.
Pad.
Whatever roofing ones that we use.
Polisher. Your 48-pound DeWalt.
Yeah. Beast.
Shampoo.
Apex Auto Wash.
Heyo.
All right.
He is set in his ways. So once he falls in love with a product or a tool, you won't pry it from his hands.
Tire Giant. Aaron, take notes. 3D matte tire.
3D matte tire.
Yep. If only it would last a little bit longer, but really good finish.
All right. It is kind of a loaded question, and the reason why I say that is because being, obviously Brian being one of the horsemen and Mayall working with Brian. As a matter of fact, the last 4 products that we've developed at Phoenix, I didn't even give them to Brian Sr. I gave them directly to you. So you've been part of the whole creation process anyway. So it's not really surprising to me that you picked a lot of the Phoenix products because you helped develop them and you were part of the process and what you liked and what you didn't like. And so as biased as it sounds, it makes sense that you like them because you helped create them. And it was kind of tailored to what you like and didn't like. So I do appreciate you saying those things. I do. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. But yeah, I appreciate you saying that. So
Definitely not
you use what you like because it works, and that's the idea behind the entire product line. It has to work, and it has to work well. The Phoenix line is designed to try to make your life a little bit easier by making a product that's going to do exactly what it needs to do to get the job done. Humberto, I wish that you were speaking my language because I don't understand what either one of you guys are talking about, and it's not fair. Where is Brian Jr.? He's probably hanging out with his lady friend, goofing off somewhere. No?
He's off playing Dungeons and Dragons somewhere.
Off playing Dungeons and Dragons somewhere.
No, he works hard and he plays hard, so he deserves his time off as well. Both of these guys deserve every minute they get.
No, I completely agree, and that's why I am so. Hey, there he is. He's here. He's here. He's here. He's keeping an eye. Aaron doesn't speak English. That's right. I speak apple juice. No, you guys are absolutely right, and that's why I'm so grateful to both of you being here at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. You guys are still hanging strong.
Brian was here all afternoon, so whatever he's doing now,
it really means a lot to me that you guys are willing to do this. All right, so anyway, that being said, let's finish up. Let's do some BC8 and some BC9 and get you guys out of here.
All right. Well, first of all, BC 10 and 11 are here. We're just waiting for labels, and I can't.
What? What is BC 10 and BC? This is breaking news. Breaking news. Breaking news.
We're just waiting for labels and caps and that bull crap that we always wait for.
What is it?
The BC 10 is an interior protected coating for absolutely every substrate and material in the interior. One product does all. Upholstery, headliner, just in case you're hanging from the headliner. I don't know why you would. Carpets, floor mats, vinyl, leather, plastic, hard surfaces, carbon fiber, wood trim, polished aluminum, whatever you have in the interior, this is a one-for-all coating, spray coating for it. And then the other one is going to be super slick. So everybody seems to have their own preference when it comes to the characteristic of a coating. And BC7, incredibly super hydrophobic. BC1 has pretty good balance. However, once you move the slider to move a characteristic and put it forefront, another one will sort of lay back a little bit. It's just how it goes. So when it comes to BC7 super hydrophobic, it lacks in slickness. And I had a request for a slick coating. This one is, you won't get any slicker. Super slick. It's going to be a 5-year coating, super slick coating. And feels like absolute silk on your car. Can't wait. So they're here. We're just waiting to get them bottled and labeled and get them available for you.
Oh, that's pretty exciting. Wow. Wow. Who knew? All right. So so we got BC8, BC9 that's on sale this week. And then we are waiting for the labels on BC10 and 11. And that's and you are taking the ceramic field by storm, sir.
Just the tip of the iceberg. The next two are in development already, so it will be.
Rick Smith wants to know when your BC pad line's coming out.
It's definitely that a polisher. I mean, you name it. I will eventually get into it, but it's going to take time because I don't have a huge team to delegate testing to. I need all the testing to go through me because if it doesn't pass my satisfaction, it's not even going to see daylight.
If only you had a panel of horsemen that you could rely on to give you honest and unbiased feedback.
When it comes to the testing and the results of the testing, I only go by what I see.
I hear you. Well, why do you think you're on my horseman lineup?
Yeah, no, I'm very picky, and I need to make sure it's exactly how I want it, how my customer. See, again, and I've said this often, the product line is formulated for my customers here, and I made it available for those that wanted to try it, and that blew up way beyond what I could ever have imagined. I mean, now in UK, Australia, Canada, and upcoming Mexico and Japan. So it's and India, huge market in India. You'd be surprised the market how they love to take care of their cars, and I love to hear that. It's fantastic. So much to come, but it's a process. These two guys right here, I will have on special. You know, things are getting tight. It is uncertain. It's an election year again. I don't know what that always has to do with everything. I guess the uncertainty, but I want to make these two obtainable so you can try them. I believe once you've tried them once, and BC9 has been really catching fire. It's hard to keep it on the shelf. BC8 is unique, and I love it as well because of everything you can do with it. So I just wanted to take a little bit of time and get into both of them and break them down, answer any questions you had on them, and give some more details so it clarifies what they do and what they're for. Let's start with BC9. Get the microfiber applicator pad. I apologize. I thought, here it is. It's over here. So with BC9, this is very simple. This is a 9 to 12 month sealant. You should easily, if you've done the correct prep, get a year out of this. A little bit goes a long way. All you need to do, this is polysilazane. So this is BC3 on steroids. BC3 around 7 to 9%, polysilazane 25% right here. Higher solids, all you need to do is prime the pad. I can feel it's nice and damp here. So you can either go like this if you're in a shaded or sheltered area, or just mist into the pad, and that will cover a 3x3 section. And you can put it on this way, you can put it on that way. You can put it on in circles or triangles. It doesn't care, just so you get it from the bottle to the end. 3x3 section, then you're going to wipe it off. So it's a spray, spread, wipe. Simple as that. It doesn't get any easier to use. Incredible shine. It has a sharp, it was meant to have a sharp gloss. Unlike your wet, wax, dripping wet look from waxes and sealants, we wanted a very sharp, crisp reflection gloss from this. Again, BC3 on steroids. So you can use this on its own, or you can use it as a topper for anything. And it's as simple as that. Any questions on this one here?
That's
Water-based, oh, by the way, water-based product, and this is only our third water-based product. Everything else is solvent-based. The water-based products are a lot healthier. Well, there's nothing really healthy to do anything these days, but healthier to use than solvent-based, and a lot easier and simpler. Any questions on BC9? I've often been, asked if, how they wish BC3 would last a little bit longer, and it wasn't formulated to be a long-lasting, durable spray detailer. It was just meant to be a booster and guard coatings as they left the shop. We got about 3 months out of it.
Yeah, I agree.
So what BC3 has to offer times 3, and much more durability.
Interesting. So far, no questions. Looks like you've covered it.
Excellent. Yeah, BC9, it's hard to keep that one off the shelf. I get a lot of feedback on social media of users showing pictures and just giving over.
Uh-oh. 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 So here's the point of the show where we talk about why Eileen is so important and that she keeps things on the rails, and I don't have to just do filler and take up space. We've apparently lost Brian from Apex Auto Detailing right in the middle of his BC9. So what would you guys like to talk about? How was your week? What were you doing? Eileen said, enthusiast, I agree. Where is Eileen? Where is Eileen? Yeah, I agree. Eileen said yesterday, she texted me yesterday afternoon and she said, hey, I have a family thing that I need to take care of this weekend and I'm going to have to miss the podcast. I am so sorry. So she's got a family thing that she has to take care of. Oh. Brian's calling. Yes, sir. Hello. Oh, that's not good. Brian, are you there? Brian, are you there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, the laptop died. My charger is malfunctioned.
Uh-oh.
So I guess that's a sign.
I guess that's a sign. All right.
Tell everybody I love them and can't wait to talk to everybody again in the future. And what a pleasure it was. I'm so glad you had us on.
No problem. Actually, you just told everybody because I have you on speakerphone and I allowed them all to hear you. So, Brian, again, sorry that your laptop died. Thank you so very much for coming on the show. I know it is late. It's 10:15, and you guys got places to be and places to go, and you still have to get home. So, thank you so much for coming out. I appreciated the live demos. We'll have to get you back on to do BC9. And remember, everybody, it is on sale right now for the week. I think what did you say? 25% off?
25% off, and that's shipping for about 5 days or so.
Okay, so for about the next 5 days, you should be able to get the BC8 and the BC9 for 25% off. Brian, thank you so much for being a part of my life, for being my friend, for being a part of Phoenix, for being a part of the Phoenix family. I am so grateful for you and your friendship and your mentoring and your knowledge and your willingness to be a part of this community. I am truly grateful for you, sir.
My pleasure. Anytime.
And one last thing, make sure you tell Mayall, thank you so much for sticking it out. I know he had a long day today, and so I'm grateful to him as well. I owe him, now that he's old enough to drink, I owe him some apple juice. So next time I come out, I'll thank him properly.
We'll have to plan for that.
All right, guys. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you all later.
You as well. Bye-bye.
Right. Goodbye. All right, everybody. So that was the end, unfortunately, the end of Curmudgeon's Corner 36 with the Bryans. Hawaii Tim just showed up. Good to see you. We talked about you a little bit earlier today, and I said that you were going to go assassinate Papa Smurf. So you and I will have to talk about that. As always, I do want to go over a few things while I still have your guys' attention. If you want, you can definitely, if you enjoyed the show, it would be a great service to me if you give me a like and you give me a subscribe. But other than that, we have a couple of things that I'd just like to go over real fast. Make sure you follow Eileen. Eileen at on her IG account. She's always putting out great content and some really informative how-to videos, especially concerning the Phoenix line. This is where you can find her info. If you can email her directly at info@getsoclean.com, or you can follow her on IG at soclean_detailing. And then, of course, she also has a YouTube channel at YouTube at socleandetailing. The Phoenix Rise from the Ashes paid for campaign. Send any donations that you'd like to Phoenix E.O.D. at 404 Bloomfield Drive, Suite 1, West Berlin, New Jersey, 08091. And make sure you do, if you can, attention, pay it forward campaign, so that it gets to the right department where it needs to go. Also, I'd like to go over our distributors. If you're on that side of the Mississippi River, chances are you'll probably get a better shipping deal from Adrian at imdetailedaf.com. Midwest distribution is Fab Automotive Detailing, fabdetailsupplies.com. And then, of course, Southeast distribution is shinylightdetailing.com/store/ which is Shiny Light Detailing, Tim Pitcher. We also have worldwide distributors, which is Chris at Carzilla, at carzilla.ca. And then we have Imran at intodetailing.co.uk. And then there's Andrew at osprodetailing.com if you are anywhere near Australia. And then last but not least, which is what this channel is really dedicated to, is the crisis hotlines, the community, the family. If you are suffering, if you are dealing with a burden, a struggle, something, a demon, make sure you reach out to one of us. We're all in this together. My demons are strong, and I rely very heavily on my support network. Make sure that you have a support network. People that you can trust, people that you can talk to. There's a lot going on right now in this world. The election year, the uncertainty. There's a lot going on, and I had a couple of really close friends pass this year, unexpectedly and surprisingly. One really good friend was walking his dogs at the end of January and slipped on some ice, hit his head, and within 12 hours, he was no longer with us. So the reason why I say that is because live every day like it's your last, because it might be. And if you're struggling, reach out. This is the crisis hotlines. There's a crisis hotline for every single demon that you are facing. And, we're in this together, and we're a community. And as a community, we feel each other's burdens. We feel each other's pains. Like I said, I had a wonderful conversation with Tim McLaughlin earlier today. I think that he understands a little bit more of stuff that, that we're all dealing with. And, it could be something as personal as a sick dog, or as universal as a fallen friend. We are in this together. There was no man is an island unto himself, right? We all impact each other. And it's important. The Curmudgeon's Corner is so important to me because of the community. It's not an ego trip. It's not an ego boost. I don't need to sit here for a couple of hours every other Saturday to stroke my ego. I sit here every other Saturday to connect with you guys, and it helps keep me in the fight. I truly love you guys, and I truly appreciate this family that we are. And I can't say that enough, and I can't express my appreciation to you people enough. What do you mean, you people? What do you mean, you people? So anyway, I enjoy hanging out with you guys. I love the camaraderie. I love the friendships. I love the on-running jokes that we all have, that we all share with each other, and it's just really, really, it nurtures my soul. This is the fertilizer to my soul, and I thank you all for being here on a Saturday night for 2.5 hours, hanging out with me. The old curmudgeon. Someday we'll get into exactly why I'm a curmudgeon. But I think most of you guys know. Anyway, from all of us here at Phoenix E.O.D. And the Curmudgeon's Corner, happy trails. I love you guys. And I'll see. Oh, I'm pretty sure we have lined up for the next Curmudgeon's Corner. I think it's going to be on the 12th. I think I have JB and Alex Dewar from from certain podcasts that may or may not exist anymore. I believe that they're coming on my show to talk about it. So this might be Curmudgeon's Corner 37 might be the most controversial curmudgeons that I'll ever have, because I like to try to stay out of controversy. I try to stay out of politics. I try to stay out of religion. I try to stay out of anything, because we are an all-inclusive community of good humans. That's this community is based on being a good human, period. I don't care what your creed is. I don't care what your beliefs are. As long as you are a good human, you are welcomed here, period. And so Curmudgeon's Corner 37 might be the most controversial Curmudgeon's Corner we ever have, because there's two guys that have things that they want to talk about, and I told them I would give them a platform to talk about it. Eileen and I are going to stay out of it, but we're going to let them talk. So hopefully you guys will be here in 2 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks, right? October 12th, I think, is the next one. And we'll see you guys then. So love you guys. Stay safe out there. Don't go at it alone. Reach out. I'll see you next time. Have a good night.